Okay.
And there we go. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining tonight's meeting regarding Timothy Drive and the Nashville Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program. My name is Brad Walshmidt. I'm one of the engineers that works for the Traffic Calming Program. And I'm going to turn it over to Liz to introduce herself and kind of walk through the presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Liz Tufnell. I also work with NDOT as part of the Traffic Calming Program. And we're here tonight to just show you the design that we've come up with for Timothy Drive. So tonight's agenda, we've kind of done our introductions. We'll go through our prioritization and selection process and kind of explain why Timothy was selected in this program. And then we'll actually show you the real design and kind of explain the voting process and the next steps. So the 3 E's of traffic calming are the education, enforcement, and engineering, and we will be talking about the engineering of the traffic calming program tonight. And traffic calming is for residential streets. It focuses on physical solutions that reduces cut-through traffic and speeds for everyone that live on the street and in the surrounding area. So the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program is a street program, not a neighborhood program. This means that individual streets are looked at and selected. And there's also limited resources as we work to address all the issues. There's a lot of streets in Davidson County in the Nashville area that are impacted and do need traffic calming measures. So outside of our NSTC program, we have a few different resources that you can go to. You can either call or go online to these resources. We have Hub Nashville, and this is going to be for anything like new stop sign requests, new signal requests, any other things that you might be experiencing. You can go online and submit your questions or concerns to Hub Nashville. And from what I've heard, they usually get back to you pretty fast. It's a pretty efficient program. We also have the walk-in bike program for pedestrian and bicycle safety and mobility, and the Beautification Commission, which is for neighborhood cleanups, landscaping, stuff like that. But our program focuses on traffic calming, so we're going to go more into that tonight. So in our traffic calming program, like we said, we do have a very high demand throughout the county. And in this cycle, we actually had applications for 426 different neighborhood streets, and only 24 projects were selected, Timothy Drive being one of them. So in selecting these streets out of the 426, we look at a few different things. The number one thing we look at is the measured speeds on the street. So that's 50% of what we look at for the prioritization selection. In addition to the measured speeds, we also look at crash history, active transportation, and neighborhood destinations, which Timothy Drive does have, with the park being a lot of the street frontage. So Timothy Drive from Kings Lane to Fairview Drive was the street that was applied for and selected in the program. The 85th percentile speed is 40 miles per hour, so that just shows you that a lot of people are speeding. Posted speed is only 25 miles per hour, so we really want to try to get that down. That's a data point that we are focusing on. Your street sees about 372 vehicles per day. There's not 372 residents, so we know there is some cut-through traffic on Timothy Drive. There's also no sidewalks, making this a higher ranked street on the prioritization. So here's just some pictures of Timothy Drive from Kings Lane to Fairview Drive. It is a very straight shot. There's currently no pavement marking on the street, and both of these things combined kind of make it look like you can go really fast down the street, even though you do see speed limit signs for 25. Clearly not everyone is going 25 right now.
Wow. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Will you make this, you said this will be available? Will it be on the NDOT website, or how will this PowerPoint be available?
Yeah, so I can take that question. So typically these recordings, the meeting where is all of it's recorded, and typically NDOT will post that onto their YouTube channel.
Okay.
And so if you search Nashville traffic calming on YouTube, you actually can see several meetings. And if you give us a few days, you'll be able to see this one on that YouTube channel as well. I'm not sure how long it takes for NDOT to post it, but that's how they post these videos.
Okay, good. Thank you.
It's usually a 48-hour turnaround.
Excuse me?
All
I'm
right.
sorry. What was
Um,
that?
Does someone have another question?
It's usually Councilman Hall. It's usually up within 48 hours of the meeting. They're pretty fast about getting it up on the YouTube channel.
Okay,
Sounds
thanks.
good. Thank you. Yes, so this recording will be available following the end of this meeting. And here is just an aerial of Timothy Drive showing the project extent. So again, it's from Fairview to Kings Lane. There also is a WeGo public transit route that runs along part of Timothy Drive. It's Route 22, and it doesn't go the full extent of our project, but we wanted to acknowledge this, and this did go into our considerations with where we put the speed cushions. So the proposed traffic calming measures for Timothy are going to be our speed cushions. These cushions are 10.5 feet long. They have sloped parts, and then in the middle, there's kind of a flat part that the tire would drive over, and then it slopes back down. They're about 3 inches tall, so not super tall, but they do slow down traffic. And we chose speed cushions because they're a little bit easier for emergency vehicles to navigate, as opposed to the speed tables, which are just straight across the road. It's not perfect, but usually emergency vehicles can navigate with one wheel outside of the cushions and one wheel inside. So it's a little bit easier of a route. So this is just some more detail about the speed cushion devices. They are designed to have cars go over them between 20 and 25 miles an hour, and they are modular rubber devices that will be accompanied with warning signage that might look like this. And these signs won't be placed right in front of your windows, or they won't be blocking your driveways or anything. Usually we try to place these signs on property lines, and we do take into consideration driveway locations, and they won't be in front of a driveway. We space those out. So the final design for Timothy is 4 sets of speed cushions, and each of these C's with the trapezoid white box around them are a set of speed cushions. So each of these signify 2 of the cushions on your street. They're pretty evenly spaced down the road. So now this is a
I'm sorry, one
sorry,
more
go ahead.
question. When will this take place? When will this happen? You have a time frame?
Yeah, so after we go through the design, and if the design gets approved through the voting process, which usually takes about 6 to 12 weeks, then we can start ordering materials, and we'll go into more detail about that process further on in the slides, and we can show you some concrete info about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So going into a little further detail in the design, this sheet shows a rotated view. So now north is pointing towards the right. And this is starting at Fairview Drive. The first set of speed cushions would be kind of right in front of the 4097 property on Timothy Drive. And then the second set would be in between the driveways of 4101 and 4105. And feel free to pause me if you have any questions or if you want to take a closer look at any of these slides as we go through. But moving down the street towards Kings Lane, we have the third and fourth set of cushion locations. This third set is in between 4121 and 4125. And then the fourth set is right before 4145. right, and here is a typical configuration of what these speed cushions will look like with dimensions. So about 3 feet in between, 3 to 4 feet in between the center ones sometimes. And this just marks the edge of pavement, the width of the whole street. Okay, does anyone have any questions on our design?
I don't have any questions.
No, just for the recording's sake, could you reiterate, like, because we know they're equally distanced throughout, or the length of the road, just the distance from that stop sign on the Kings Lane side and then on the Fairview side, the last set.
Distance from the stop signs on either side. So we do typically try to place these a certain distance away from stop signs to allow for people to stop and go safely, and so you're not turning onto a speed cushion. I don't have the exact distances for these right now, but we can certainly send that information out.
Yeah, and Liz, I was gonna say, Liz, I can certainly help. So the one on the south near Fairview Drive, that first speed cushion's about 350 feet away from the stop sign at Fairview. And then Liz, if you'd be willing to go up to the next sheet that shows the I guess the northern half. I just want to make sure we get some answers here. So
Well, and
that
honestly, that's really the one that's really significant because of the entrance to Timothy Park and the other direction going into Creekwood. So I was just trying to make sure the distance from the Fairview stop sign to the people coming in and out of that park.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's close to, it's not quite exact, but it's close to midpoint along Timothy between Creekway Court and the park entrance and Fairview Drive. It's not exact, but it's close to the midpoint.
Right. Thank you. So moving into our program flowchart, we are at meeting number 2 right now. So we've gone through all the steps before. We've gone through the application, prioritization, we had our meeting 1, and the design is prepared. So what comes after meeting 2 is our online ballot. And we are doing a new ballot process this year in which 2/3 of property owners that respond will get a say in whether the project goes forward or not. So this means that if someone doesn't vote, that will not count for or against you. It'll be only the people that vote, 2/3 of those people. If that's a yes, then the project will move forward, and if 2/3 vote no, then the project will not move forward. A good way we like to think about that is if there's 100 property owners on a street, but only 10 vote, if 2/3 of the 10 vote, the project will move forward, even though it didn't get 2/3 of all of the property owners. And the properties that will get a vote are the ones directly adjacent to the project street, and that will send ballots to your mailbox, and these ballots will contain information, web links, and QR codes, and each person will have a specific QR code that you can then scan in and place your vote. So you can vote for or against the plan once you scan these in, and after these are sent out, it'll be a 6-week voting period. So this is a map of the properties that will receive a ballot and receive a vote. There are 23 eligible properties. The park does not get a vote. That would be property number 24, and no one lives there, so we are not sending a ballot code to the park, but this is the extent of the people that will get mailers.
Question. So of those 23, how many are you needing to get support for this?
So of the 23, we would need 2/3 of those that vote. So if 10 of the 23 vote, then we would need 2/3 of the 10 voters to say, yes, we want this plan to go forward.
So you need about Okay, help me here. My mind went blank.
It's 2/3 of however many actually vote.
2/3 of the 23. Is that what you're saying?
Or however many actually vote. All 23 don't have to. If only 10 vote, you would need 2/3 of the 10. If 18 vote, you would need 2/3 of that 18.
Okay, I'm not calculating right now, so give me a number if you can.
So if there's 3 people that vote, 2 out of 3 have to agree.
That's what I'm saying. So you need at least 3 people to say yes. I'm just looking at how many yeses you need. That makes sense.
Ruby, we don't know how many yeses because it's not a total count, it's a percentage, sort of like any council or gubernatorial or presidential vote. There may be a large number of voters in the voting pool, but it's only, the calculation is only a percentage of who actually votes. So that's
Okay.
where there could be 23 properties, but like the examples, if 13 don't care and don't vote, and only 10 vote, then 2/3 of that 10. So we don't have a magic number because it's really just a percentage of who cares enough to vote either way.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so here are the next steps listed out. So like we said, the online ballot will be the next step, and you'll probably receive this ballot mailer within the next 2 weeks. So be sure to check your mailboxes for those. And then after you receive those ballots, the voting period will be open for 6 weeks, where you can go online and scan your individual QR code and vote either for or against the plan. If the plan goes through and is approved, and you guys want it to happen, the next 12 weeks will be ordering materials, and 12 weeks after that will be the installation of the devices. All right, so feel free to ask any additional questions you might have, or if you think of anything after our meeting ends, here are 2 contacts. Gil Thomas with NDOT and Brad Walshmit, who is on the call. He's the project engineer for this project, and here's their emails. But thanks everyone for attending, and let me know if you want to go back and see another slide again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. All right, well, that's all we have. If you want to talk more about the design or any questions or concerns you might have about the overall design, we'd love to hear any feedback.
I think the only other thing that came from the first meeting and conversations in the neighborhood were, other than because we were excited about the souls being done, but any striping, especially because of the lack of sidewalks along that side on the park.
Yes, that's a great point. So that could actually be a Hub Nashville request. I think we put there we go, the contact up here. So if you submit that request to Hub Nashville, they would take a look at that.
And council member, I'll add to that. I know I was one of the ones on the first meeting. We did take a look at Timothy Drive after that first meeting, and the width is about 21 feet or 22 feet in width. And so sometimes one of the traffic calming tools we consider on streets is if it's a really wide area of pavement, we'll sometimes install white edge lines to sort of narrow where the cars should be. It almost creates almost like an unofficial walking area on the other side of the
Yeah,
white
because
line.
it's a huge amount of foot traffic with the park and the folks in the 2 adjacent neighborhoods walking to and from the park and then walking around the track and back home.
Exactly. So we took a look at that. What we found is Timothy Drive is not wide enough to be able to narrow that vehicle area and provide that kind of unofficial walking area. So that's why we have not proposed it. If Timothy was wider, it could be a very good candidate for that type of thing. But because of the width, there's really not much additional pavement that could be sort of set aside for not vehicle use. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, because we're taking a look and was having a conversation both with NDOT and parks about an easement, because that side on Timothy that's adjacent to or along the side of the park and park entrance, there is about an 8-foot buffer ditch, and then because also on that side, the majority of that street, the hillside from the baseball diamond, all of that is between the street and the actual park area.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to have that conversation also to see if parks would be willing to say, hey, it's just a ditch here. And the ditch, and then you're on the walking trail. But it's about an 8-foot spread that would give us some space to work with to see if we could at least do some type of walking lane.
Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, as far as the actual pavement that's out there on Timothy, that's the reason why we have not proposed that, is because of the relatively narrower width along Timothy.
Well, I would
Right.
add that, you know, with some speed calming, there is quite a bit of pedestrian traffic because I'm on the end of Fairview and Timothy, and the bus stop is kind of right in that area. And people coming off of Creekwood try to get up to 50 miles an hour before they get to Fairview. So having speed cushions will be an extremely useful tool along the street, because it is a straight shot directly coming off, especially with us having all of this construction going on Clarksville Highway and people trying to detour through and down through Timothy. So we're definitely excited about the opportunity.
Um, well, if anyone has any final questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thanks everyone for attending, and we will get those ballots out to you guys soon, probably within the next 2 weeks.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. As always, the work you guys put in, and so we're excited and looking forward to getting this done. I think we'll have a decent participation, but at the end of the day, it's something everybody's been. I've been playing in that park since that park was built. Now my kids and grandkids play in that park, so it's really important to be able to get this done, and we're just excited and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yes, we agree.
Well, thanks so much, guys. We're looking forward to that, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Alfonso, for bringing this to the table. I know your neighbors appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.